Hi, Sarah.
Hi,
I'm so excited to have you on Luvbites. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm hyped.
Ooh, so okay, real question. When was the last time you listened to audio erotica?
Today.
I was gonna say, like, I was doing research on audio erotica, and I used to listen to it way more, but I listened to it again last night, and man, it's spicy.
It's so spicy. I feel like in some ways it's way more erotic than like porn because
Yeah.
so much is being said. And when I first listened to it, I was like, I felt shy.
Yeah, I'm like, damn. And I want to admit too, I had listened to audio erotica about like 10 years ago.
Hmm,
And this was just on some like random website. It was kind of like a Craigslist and it
that's
wasn't good.
funny.
It wasn't good. So there was like an evolution of audio
Yeah.
erotica. So first, can you tell us, my Love Bites family, the people that are listening, what is audio erotica?
So audio erotica has a bit of a range from what I've seen. It can range from like straight up audio porn to something that's a little bit closer to like a first person romance novel where it's more PG-13 than X-rated. So you get everything across the spectrum in romance and sex within the umbrella of audio erotica.
Wow. Okay, that's such a succinct way to explain it. So if you're listening to, you can like listen to something like Twilight-ish,
Yes.
and then you can also listen to like ooks, 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 like like
Like the
fuck my
whole
pussy
thing,
daddy, like his cock is
literally.
throbbing.
Literally, well, some people actually do record themselves like actually having sex, and then some people record themselves making those sound effects on their own, which is what I do. I make all of the sound effects.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can get very, very porny with it. And then yeah, maybe like a step above Twilight. Like in between Twilight
Ooh.
and 50 Shades of Grey on the lower end.
Ooh, like Twilight if it involves like a little fingering.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Okay, so like I not to put you on the spot, but can you give us just a quick sample of like a 5 second, 10-second sample of what it can sound like?
Oh, that's incredible. Okay, let me think without
Yeah.
laughing because I normally do this by myself. It would be something like, I want you so badly. I want you to touch my skin and put your hands up my shirt and things like that.
Damn, okay, your audio
Kind of waffle
erotica voice
through.
was different.
It is different.
I love that.
I kind of will switch into a bit of a character depending on the type of erotica that I'm making because I'll do more girl next door, very conversational, and then it turns into like a sexual experience.
Hmm.
And that sounds more like me. But then I also do like guided masturbations, like jerk off instructions,
Mm.
and things that are meant to be more intimate and sensual. And for that, I will pull out the softer, silkier voice.
Mm. Okay, my followers on TikTok are always asking me, Dr. Tara, when can we see you in action? Maybe I should record audio of me
Yeah.
having sex with my partner and put it on one of these apps.
Well, I think that's great. And it's also low stakes because it's like you don't have to worry about people seeing you and like images of you being out and about.
Right.
People can also kind of like draw their own conclusions. So I love it. I'm all for it.
Wow, that's a such a great idea. Now let's talk a little bit more about you. I'm very interested. You have a very like sensual look
Thank you.
to your both like your musician persona as well as like even just right now as someone being interviewed.
Thank
So, how
you.
would you describe your sexual profile?
Oh, what a wonderful question. I think only like venturing into my later 20s have I really started to feel super confident and set in my sexuality. So I'm pansexual, and I feel like in terms of like femininity and masculinity, I sit somewhere a little bit in the middle, just energetically. And funny enough, with my online presence and the type of content I've made, my audience started calling me daddy. Sometimes they call me mommy. And so there's this joke that I'm mommy daddy. And I feel like that actually does represent me. I'm like a soft, calming, authoritative person sexually.
Oh,
And that's where I
wow.
feel the most comfortable. Yeah, just being a little in charge, but in like a nurturing role. Still sexy.
Yeah. Soft and calming, authoritative sexual profile. That's interesting. So tell me more about this authoritative side of you. Have you always known to be like someone who's pretty authoritative, or is this like a voice that you found later in life and you really like it?
I definitely found it later because I was raised hyper religious and with really
Oh,
intense ideals around sexuality and gender roles.
was
So
it
I was taught,
Christianity?
yes, but it was Mormonism. So even kind of a
Oh,
step further in
yeah.
terms of,
A little extra steps.
yeah. But I was raised to be like more submissive and gentle and, to be a mother and to be a wife. And I never felt like that fit me. But for a long time, I tried to be that. And oddly enough, with men, because the first bit of my real sexual experiences were all with men.
Mhm.
And I found that when they were like overly in charge and like dominant, it actually really turned me off and I wouldn't enjoy the experience. And I thought, maybe I don't like men. Maybe I don't
Fair.
sex. Yeah. And then when I started to have more like adult sexual experiences with women, and I realized I naturally kind of fell into this more like authoritative is a funny role, but this more like dominant energy. I enjoyed it so much more. And so I started taking that to men, not BDSM dominatrix level, but where I'm the one kind of guiding the situation. And I found that I enjoyed it so much more. And yes, I do love men and I do love sex, but I have to sit in this on top pocket a little bit more emotionally, energetically, sometimes physically to really enjoy the experience.
Do you experience orgasms?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't until I started taking charge, oddly enough.
That was gonna be my question, was like, does this bring you more pleasure?
A lot more pleasure. It was like a grind to come before I realized this about myself. And I thought there was something
Wow.
seriously wrong. But no, if I'm able to take a little bit more charge of like the sexual experience, it's significantly faster, which blew my mind. I was like, wow, I didn't know that this was the secret, that I'm just not a very submissive person.
Wow. What a cool discovery, right?
I thought so, yeah.
So earlier you said that you identify as pansexual. Can you tell my
Mhm.
audience a little bit more of what that means?
So, pansexual is largely described as a person that is attracted to someone regardless of gender. Like, gender doesn't play a role in it, it's more about that person. So, I could be attracted to cis men, women, trans men, women, non binary people. That doesn't really play a role into my attraction.
Wow. Again, so succinct. I'm like, oh, you could be a professor. Uh, now, can
Thank
you
you.
explain a little bit to my audience the differences between pansexual and bisexual?
So bisexual is largely just being like specifically being attracted to men and women and being attracted to masculine and feminine traits in particular. But there is a little bit of debate if like bisexual falls under the pansexual umbrella or if it's vice versa. So I feel like they are very closely linked, but there are bisexual people who wouldn't be attracted to like an intersex person or
Mm,
someone, yeah, someone with like a unconventional gender
mhm.
identity.
So you're like, if I like you, I don't care what gender or sexual profile. Like if we like each
Hmm.
other, like that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Love that for you. Now, you were talking about audio erotica and you distinguish it pretty beautifully between kind of like the erotica where it's sexual and sensual, and then it goes into like more like a softer romantic sexual experience versus like audio porn. Uh,
Hmm.
do you have experience in audio like porn?
Yeah, that's most of what I do is
Okay.
audio porn. So it's like going next level, full send balls to the wall. It doesn't mean that it's like crazy and these like abstract situations, but yeah, it's like fuck my pussy type of
Yeah.
stuff.
Is
Yeah.
it usually two people or multiple people?
It's usually two people. I'm actually working on one right now that's a group venture. But yes,
Interesting.
typically it's two.
So when you record these, are you guys recording it like on Zoom or are you seeing each other in person?
Oh, I misunderstood you. So these are actually like first person or yeah, first person
Oh,
experiences. So I'm talking to the mic as if I'm talking to you, and then you get to fill in the
oh,
rest. So I would say, "Oh my goodness, I loved our date so much, XYZ." And then in your head you're filling in what you
oh.
would be saying. And so I create this dynamic as if I'm speaking to you in this scene, in this situation. And then, yeah, it goes into the sexual experience and I'm talking directly to you.
So if I'm a dude listening, I could be your boyfriend.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, I have not listened to that kind. I've only
Yeah.
listened to like I'm like observing, like I'm a third person listening into like a sex situation.
Yeah, those are called overheard audios. And there are people on Quinn, the app that I post my erotic audios through, that do overheard audios as well. That's a completely
Oh.
different experience. Those are some of my favorite because they are so authentic. And I'm like, they're really doing it. They're doing the damn thing.
Wow. So
So it's
what
fun.
are your favorite like three situations, the sex audio porn situations that you like?
So I really love tension. I love when the tension builds and then it finally breaks and there's this, you know, ecstatic sexual encounter. So I like enemies to lovers where it starts off kind of
Ooh.
like as a tiff and they're arguing and then they reconcile sexually. I really like those.
Mm.
I also like when someone walks in on another person, like either masturbating or what else. It just feels taboo. So I think for me, anything that feels a little sneaky or it's like sex in public, those are my favorites.
Oh, I love that. I would agree with you. I like all those three. Um, in regards to the first one, can you give us a quick sample of what tension would sound like when you're doing the audio?
It's hard because you build it up over a
Yeah.
span. So it's like I'm writing these scripts. So if you think about a book that has like a lot of tension that ends up breaking, I feel like one that a lot of people would know in the same vein is 50 Shades of Grey, where it's like not even really a positive dynamic at first, but there's such an intense like sexual chemistry underneath. So I like to start it out where they're maybe they're exes or they just inherently don't like each other in a friend group or a business setting and they're forced to interact with each other, and so you get that fun kind of snippy banter, but the situation lends itself to them having to like work together and it
Ah.
allows that to disperse a little bit and the sexual tension can come out. So
Mm.
it's hard to give like a snippet of it, but that's what I try to convey.
Ooh, okay. Well, since I'm like asking you a bunch of things to like a bunch of examples, might as well go into the next question. What do you think are the hottest things that someone can say to arouse their partner?
Mm. Well, based off of the DMs and the comments that I get in regard to my audios, people really love being claimed. Like, this is mine, your orgasm is mine. They love that because it's not just sex for the sake of sex at that point. It's like they want you
Mm.
badly.
Mm.
So that really turns people on. I think also, like, I need this. Like, I need you. I need your cock, for
Like I
lack of a
need you
better
and
term.
only you can provide this for me.
Yeah, but that's really what it is. And even if you're someone who's non-monogamous like myself, I'm polyamorous, still in that encounter for someone to really just be like, I need you, I want your body, like these gorgeous curves, like these are the only curves I want right now. It just grounds you in the situation, and especially when you're a woman, sometimes your brain can kind of be off in space during sex once in a while, and it grounds you in that situation where someone's like, look at me, like I want you, you're here with me. So eye contact, that claiming, just like setting, like you're the only person I want right now, I feel like that's all the sexiest. things you
I
can
love
say.
them. I love them. And it makes a lot of sense because, like, psychologically, when we're with someone, we want to feel deeply desired.
Mm-hmm.
And those words show that deep desire that like humans need, they crave, and they don't get it in like their daily life.
Yeah.
Sexual encounters really allow for like that to come out. A lot of people call it like the animalistic time. Yeah, I love those examples. Thank you. Now,
Of
I want
course.
to pivot a little bit into your music career. You're a musician, singer-songwriter. I have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
respect for you because my best friend also writes music, and I just know how like hard it can be. But
Mm-hmm.
also to, consistently do it, it takes a lot of like effort. So there was a song that you released a while back called Daddy.
Yes.
What is it about?
So I released Daddy about 3 months ago, and I actually wrote it a couple years ago when I met the partner that I live with. And he's like this giant masculine man, like very stereotypically masculine. And I found myself wanting to like nurture and comfort him and being a safe space emotionally. And so Daddy is about that. It's funny because it starts out sounding like it's going to be like a sexual domination kind of thing, like a kinky thing, but it's actually about allowing your partner to kind of set aside the societal need to be a man and to be masculine and be a safe space for them to open up and be emotional and vulnerable with you. Being their best friend. Like I have a line in the second verse that says, I won't undermine your masculinity. It's just how I feel. Like, don't worry, you're not any less of a man for
Right.
being emotional. That's what I want to be able to provide to you.
Oh, that's lovely. And from Daddy, what kind of feedback have you been getting?
A lot of really good feedback as a whole. There are some men that on face value are very uncomfortable by it and have expressed that they're uncomfortable with the imagery. So it's me like in a bunch of pink fluffy clouds and I'm wearing a black latex bodice, and then my partner's laying in my lap all peacefully sleeping on a cloud pretty much. And I feel that that's very tame imagery, but I think for a lot of guys, the thought of being submissive, the thought of stepping outside of the stereotypically masculine role feels threatening and scary because it's the basis in which we base all of men's value on. And so to step outside of that, it's like, well, who am I? I'm not a man. And so I think for me, when I see those comments, it bums me a little bit, but I'm also like, this song is exactly for you to assure you that you're not any less of a man for being that vulnerable with your partner, with your friends, with family members, and any sort of situation. And so I've gotten a lot of those, but I found that I've been able to explain it, like when I've talked one on one with people, explain it in a way where it is non threatening, that it's just
Mhm.
coming from a loving place. But a lot of women have said that they feel this way, that they want to be this for their partner, but they don't really know how, that they feel nervous to bring it up to say like, hey, I want to take care of you too. I want to be able to
Yeah.
switch that role so you can be softer and I can be more of the provider sometimes, so we can truly be partners. And be two but one in the
Yeah.
relationship.
Oh, and that message is so important because there is like a comeback of support for extreme masculinity.
Yes.
Like, I feel like it was gone for a while. I'm an older millennial, so there was a time where we finally all understood that men being vulnerable is good. It's
Yeah.
healthy, right? But then now, the last like, 4 years, 5 years-ish, it's been coming back with a lot of the
Hmm.
stuff that's been going on in America, in Europe, in Asia. I mean, really around the world. Like that message is coming back again where like you should be more masculine. um
Yes.
and I think there is a difficulty for a lot of young guys, like boys, to distinguish between like healthy masculinity and
Hmm.
unhealthy masculinity. And I think that messages like this is important because it allows for like learning with no pressure, because it's through arts,
Yeah.
like through music. You're not lecturing. This is not,
No.
a gospel. Like it's just like it's a song. Listen to it. But then I think these
Yeah.
types of arts help people like break stereotypes.
Yeah, well, that's what I was hoping to do. And I was hoping to, I mean, I had a little fun with it as well. Like, I
Yeah.
wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to be inviting and ultimately, yeah, non-threatening. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
lecture you. I'm not trying to tell you that you're wrong for being or wanting to be masculine.
Yeah.
And when we see, because like there's new age, yeah, like toxic masculinity being pushed in everybody's faces. And when I see that, they're always saying that masculinity is under attack and that no
Right.
one wants masculine men. And I'm like, what about all the heterosexual women that do really want masculine men?
Right.
But what they don't want is aggression and standoffishness and like a lack of respect for boundaries and emotions and not being open, which
Right.
none of those things are masculine. Those
Right.
are toxic qualities that anyone can have, but they've gotten lumped under the umbrella of masculinity. And so we've just kind of written them off as like, that's just how guys are, but it
Right.
doesn't have to be. And with the statistics of recently, it's saying like guys under 30 are the most lonely they've ever been. They have the fewest sexual partners they have ever had and the fewest number of relationships under 30. I think it is largely in part to that
Mm-hmm.
because women, we are socialized to be open, to be emotional, but not all women naturally are. It's just like a
Mm-hmm.
difference in socializing. And so you can see when guys finally break down that wall, they're able to be those things as well. And it doesn't make them suddenly a
Mm-hmm.
woman, but that's what
Period.
women respond to. So I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like, yeah, you're going to be lonely if you never open up to someone. If you
Mm-hmm.
think that being a man is being stoic and strict and unkind and unyielding, yes, you're going to be alone. But I kind of live on the camp that it's not their fault, but it is their responsibility to
Mm-hmm.
work through those toxic dynamics that they've been taught.
I agree. I think there's toxic everyone. There's toxic women. Toxic men,
Yeah.
there's toxic trans people. There's just
Yeah.
toxic everyone. So I think we're all responsible to being healthy and being a productive person in our society. And
Mm-hmm.
that's it, period. So your new song,
Agreed.
Mad Dog, what is it about?
So this is so funny because it's the complete opposite of this. I actually wrote it some time ago and I'm polyamorous now and the song is about possession and jealousy and like that
Ooh.
more toxic side, which I think is nice because I like to give a full picture of myself and like humanity when I'm writing music. So you have Daddy, you have like the most healthy, nurturing relationship song. And then you have this one where the chorus says, I don't want to see you with some other girl. I don't. And
Mm.
speaking to that part of the human experience as well.
Yeah, yeah. We all experience jealousy, but you're now in a polyamorous relationship, and there is the term that we've been taught a lot recently about polyamorous people is compersion. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so can you define compersion and talk a little bit about whether you experience compersion?
Absolutely. So compersion is finding joy in the joy of someone else, pretty much. So you can feel compersion when your friend achieves something really
Mm-hmm.
wonderful and you're genuinely happy for them. The
Mm-hmm.
same thing can be said for if your partner has another partner and they've reached some milestone and it's brought them a lot of joy and you feeling joy for that person. But what it does require is letting go of your ego a little bit and letting go of that possessiveness that I think every human being has to some
Yeah,
extent.
I agree.
So, yeah. So at first I would say no, I didn't experience compersion. I experienced kind of like a neutral, like, all right, sick, like
Yeah.
that's fine. But I didn't feel a mass amount of joy. It was
Mm.
actually once I had a boyfriend other than the partner that I live with, and I experienced so much joy with that. Where when he started, like the partner I live with, Vadim, when he started seeing other people and really enjoying himself, that's when my compersion kicked in because I knew what it felt like and I knew what kind of perspective and
Mm.
fulfillment it was going to bring to his experience and bring to our relationship that I started getting really excited.
Mm.
Yeah. So when he would have a date with someone that he was excited about, I would get genuinely excited. And I'd also be like,
Aw.
now I have the night to like meditate and journal, you know?
Yeah, space. I mean, I've talked about space a lot to people that ask me, how can long-term monogamous couples spice up their sex life or like revive their passion for each other? And I often say, like, they need space. People need space. We're all humans. Like, yes, we love companionship, but we also love space.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
The
do.
last segment of my show is called Hot or Not with Dr. Tara. And what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a word and you'll just tell me hot or not.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm ready.
You do so good. Okay. Number 1, reverse cowgirl.
Not
Number 2, educational porn.
hot.
Number 3, one night stand.
Hot.
Number 4, G spot.
Hot. G
Number
spot?
5,
Is that the question?
Number 5, cuckolding.
Hot.
Number 6, praise kink.
Hot.
Number 7, BDSM.
Probably not. A little bit.
Number 8, monogamy.
It can be hot for some people. For me, it's a not.
Number 9, sexual meditation.
Hot.
And last but not least, number 10, pegging.
Hot. I just like sex, obviously.
Period. I love it. I can't wait to be listening to you more on the audio porn app. Now, where can my listeners find you?
So you can find the audio erotica on TryQuinn, but you can find me on like Instagram and TikTok under Cera Gibson, just Cera Gibson, and on Spotify, iTunes, all of the things.
Love it. Thank you so much for a fun conversation.
No, I loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, my loves, thank you for listening to this episode. Please like, share, tag me. I love hearing from you. And if you want to ask me questions, go to my website, luvbites.co, and click ask. Other than that, have an orgasmic day.
Thanks for listening. This was Love Bites.
Love Bites.
By Dr. Tara. Follow Dr. Tara on social media at lovebites.co. Have an orgasmic day.